Defensive lineman Cullen Jenkins, a Detroit native who played his college football at Central Michigan, came to Green Bay as an undrafted free agent in 2003. Now, his older brother Chris was already an all-pro lineman for the Carolina Panthers. That fact aided the younger Jenkins as he embarked on his NFL career.
When I went to Central, I didn't have much faith that my career would go anywhere past that. And watching Chris get drafted second round and then have the success he had, and me and Chris, we competed a lot growing up, and that motivated me to make me feel like I actually had a chance to pursue it as well.
You weren't drafted, but you played in NFL Europe. Tell me about that experience. Where'd you go? I mean, where were you playing, that type of thing?
I was with the Cullen Centurions, and NFL Europe was great. And I was so disappointed when they got rid of the league, because I know how much it helped me on my journey. And after I came to Green Bay as an undrafted free agent and got cut the first year, and I sat home and was landscaping, and I didn't think that football would be something that would happen. And when they sent me to Europe, and I went out there and got the experience, and got the praise from all the coaches and teammates who had played in the league previously, it just renewed my confidence and my drive to make it happen.
So you come out of NFL Europe, you get another shot with the Packers, and you stick this time. Tell us about that, and how did that all come about?
I remember coming to training camp second year, and I was not a happy camper. And it might have helped me, because all of the anger that I had built up, and my whole mindset was, if Green Bay doesn't want me, I know somebody else will. And so I was just, I remember it was times when we were in camp that I was ready to just leave, to go see the family, to sneak out at night and just do all that. I was not a happy camper, but that drive, that I had, that anger I had, I used it to my advantage on the field.
In the fall of 2004, Jenkins earned a spot on the Packers roster. 2 years later, he replaced Kabir Baja-Biamila, finishing the season with 6.5 sacks.
I had the opportunity, I just kind of took advantage of it. And then at the end of that season, I remember Coach Sherman had a talk with me that really kind of stuck with me. And he said that he didn't want me to be happy and complacent with just being a backup on the team. He didn't want me to look at myself as just a backup. He wanted me to keep improving and work towards being a starter. And that always kind of sat with me, because I think, to some extent, I was kind of just happy that I had made the team and I had got out there to contribute. And that really, kind of reset my goals.
I want to talk to you about two seasons in particular, and one was the 2007 season that I used to call kind of the blessed season. But I remember talking to John Kuhn a while back, and he pointed out to me that, that team may have come out of nowhere to make an NFC championship game run, but you guys had some big-time talent on that team. You had Charles Woodson. You had Aaron Campman was a great player on that team. You had a young Nick Collins. You had, there was Al Harris was still on that team, if I'm not mistaken. And you had some real good talent on that defense, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you look back at that team, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we were the 2 seed, and the Cowboys were the 1 seed. And, we were kind of looking forward to the rematch from earlier in the year when the Cowboys had beat us. And then all of a sudden the Giants came out of nowhere. And, I think, we felt like, this is our chance. We're playing a championship game at home, and that game was on my birthday too. And I'll never forget how disappointed and cold. I shook at home for like an hour after that game. But that year, it was a great one. We did come up short, but, we had great guys in that team, great talent, and it was a great run that year.
The storybook game of that season had to be the Seattle playoff game the week before the NFC Championship game in the divisional round of the playoffs, when it started snowing at Lambeau Field, and you guys are down 14-0 and then score like 42 unanswered points. That had to be fun.
Oh, that was. I still have a picture. I blew up a big poster picture from after I got a sack in that game, and I was doing, one of my dances with all the snow coming down in the background is one of my favorite pictures.
I thought one of the favorite shots of that game was the crossbar of the goalpost, and there was like an inch of snow on the sitting on the crossbar. One other game that season that we've talked about, and that would be the Denver game on a Monday night at Mile High Stadium, when you guys really started to serve notice that you were going to be a factor. You're playing the Broncos at Mile High, that you get the game to overtime, and then Brett Favre wins it on a pass to Greg Jennings. Talk about that game. What did that mean? Is that a game you remember of all the games you played?
Yeah. You don't remember, as you get older, you don't remember a lot of the details in the games, but you do remember those key moments in it. And, you vividly remember getting to overtime and, it being, a big time fight in that game. And then to win it the way we did and, we kind of didn't expect it because, the way the game was going, it was a big time fight and we were battling back and forth. And next thing you know, Britt and Greg pull off this great play, this bomb, and the whole sideline just erupted and everybody, and I tell you what, one of the things that you miss about football is like flights like that, the flights back home after wins like that, just being in the locker room after games like that, the excitement that, everybody just shared together.
Yeah, you can't replace that, can you?
Yeah, it's nothing you can. I mean, I go fishing sometimes and play a little golf, but it's nothing like that.
Even when you birdie a hole, it's not that. No.
Well, I don't know what it's like to birdie a hole yet.
A coaching change on the defensive side of the football brought Dom Capers to Green Bay. This is when Cullen and the Packers took off. 2009 happens, a coaching change for you guys on defense. And it was Dom Capers coming in. You got to the playoffs, and you played an epic battle against the Cardinals down in Arizona and lost in overtime and on a weird play. Did that kind of meld things together for you guys, give you a purpose, a focus going forward to the next year? Do you recall anything like that?
I think it did defensively, because I remember that game and I remember how we felt after that. Even though we lost it on a play that, was a little controversial, there's no way defensively we should have given up, I believe 40-something points it was, to get to that. And offense was playing great. Offense was, fighting back and they were putting up points as well to keep us in the game. But defensively, we didn't hold up our end of the bargain. And I think that really stuck with us going into the following year, where we felt like, we've got a great offense, we've got a championship caliber offense, but defensively we need to match their level if we're going to be a Super Bowl caliber team.
2010 comes around. You guys are one of the preseason favorites to go to the Super Bowl, and I remember everybody wore cowboy hats to the season opening luncheon or welcome back luncheon type thing. That was really cool. But injury struck. After a good start, you guys got a lot of injuries. Was there a point in that season, Cullen, where you kind of looked at it and said, well, maybe this is not our year with all these injuries?
Yeah, it was a lot. And we had guys going down left and right. If I remember too, at running back position, we were just like, throwing guys in because everybody kept going down. I remember Nick went down, Jermichael went down. I went down San Francisco game. I think it was week 11 or 12, and they almost put me in IR, for the calf, because I tore my calf. But they told me they wanted to hold off just in case, we made it to the playoffs. And did we have some great, front office wise, they did a great job of bringing people in, to pick up, and be the next guy up for it. And we had guys step up that year that we just, couldn't have seen happening.
When did you know that team maybe was special? Was there a point in time when you thought, Cullen, this is it?
I was watching, and I was watching from the sideline because I missed the last 4 regular season games that year with my calf. And, just watching the team compete and fight, for those last, couple games that we had to win to have a chance to get in. And, because I think the Giants game wasn't even close. I think we just destroyed them. And then, you know, when we went to Chicago, or they came up.
They came up.
Yeah, and, you know, I think that one was a closer game, but we managed to pull it out, you know, to get into the playoffs. And, you know, after that, heading into the playoffs, you know, that speech that Woodson gave, you know, to everybody was just, you know, I try to tell people about that. You know, when you show them the rings and you show them the engravings on the inside, it's just hard to put into words like what that speech actually kind of meant to some of us on the team, to hear it come from a player who's had as much success and done as many things as he had, and just, you know, listening to him speak from the heart just really, I think anybody who wasn't bought in already definitely bought in at that point.
Game itself, what do you remember? What was the experience for you like Super Bowl Sunday?
I remember it being a lot of, you know, one, just the prep. I think we had, you know, with Turgo, you know, Turgo being in there before, because he was at the Super Bowl with my brother, and some of the knowledge that he gave us heading into there, I think really helped, you know, with, you know, don't get too excited before the game, because, you know, they're gonna sing this song and sing this song, they gotta remove this stage, and and he was saying, you know, too many people will get worked up, and it's just a long wait, and you've got to just, you know, stay calm, stay relaxed, you know, and wait for the right time. And I think that stuff helped out a lot in getting it. And one of the things we talked about earlier that I think was key for us winning that Super Bowl was, if you rewind it back to the previous year, when you talked about the defense and how we hadn't bought in, and, you know, with Capers and everything. I remember when we were preparing for the Super Bowl, and he told us something that no defensive line ever wants to hear. He said, "I don't really want you guys rushing Roethlisberger." And we're like, huh? He's like, because Roethlisberger does most of his damage when he escapes the pocket. So I wanted to just collapse the pocket on him and force him to throw from out of the pocket. If we can get sacks collapsing the pocket, then that's what we'll do. But I don't want people taking chances and, you know, getting upfield or jumping out gaps and giving them escape lanes. And, you know, that was something that, you know, we were like, well, it's not what we want to do, but if it's going to help us win, we're going to do it.
The Packers beat the Steelers in Super Bowl 45. Cullen left Green Bay in free agency after the 2010 season, continuing his career with the Eagles, Giants, and Redskins. But the Green Bay experience was unlike any of the others.
I think that if it wasn't for Green Bay, you know, I probably wouldn't have had the career I had, because I just think that the standard that's set here, you know, just the veteran players, the way that the players acted, the way that they took coaching, the way that they taught you to study, to learn. Aaron Campman, you know, was huge in me developing into who I am as a player. And without having guys like that around, you know, to see the Donald Drivers, to see the, you know, Amon Greens, you know, the guys who are just high character guys, you know, even though they've got all the success in the world, you know, they're still, you know, hard workers, humble people, you know, and willing to teach you. Because when I went to other teams, I was nothing close to that. And I see how a lot of these younger players come in and they learn from, you know, environments like that, and then they don't have, you know, they turn out just into what did they see around them. And I feel like Green Bay was just so instrumental into me becoming a player, you know, in person that I became.